Times yesterday as well, there was a report in there that some nurse mentors are signing off nurses that they are concerned about as competent because they feel that if they fail them, the university will overturn their decisions. And in fact, the survey they did, they found that this was actually happening. And then, of course, the nursing academics came in to respond, saying that they admitted that the universities are incentivised to pass as many students as possible, but they denied that that would result in passing poor-performing students. So I think that must perhaps raise its head again in the near future, but it is concerning when you see that sort of thing there as well. The Nursing and Midwifery Council really needs to make sure that nurses are aware of their responsibilities under their code of practice and safeguarding. I know I've mentioned about students, but the Healthcare Inspectorate Wales, which is the equivalent of your Care Quality Commission, produced a report at the end of March on safeguarding. And in that report it said that from their investigations, some nurses weren't aware of their responsibilities under their code of conduct and weren't aware of their responsibilities under safeguarding, which means the protection of vulnerable adults and how to report concerns if they came across anything, which is actually quite worrying, and we've written to the Nursing and Midwifery Council about this. We feel that the Nursing and Midwifery Council should be supporting nurses who are trying to voice concerns. We don't think that they're doing this adequately at the moment. They are in the process of producing some guidance, and it's out of consultation at the moment. But again, it's all very well to produce guidance, but unless that guidance gets put in place and gets acted upon, it's a waste of time, it's just another piece of paper. And I think that's the thing. Quite often people just think producing a document, sending out some guidance is the quick fix. That's it, it's fixed, we'll move on to something else. It doesn't work that easily. They need to actually get out there and find out what processes are in place, what policies are in these hospitals, and how transparent the system is, and can staff actually speak out about things. It's not a case of just producing a guidance document. They need to act immediately concerns are raised. Now this is interesting because Dignified Revolution only up until a couple of months ago thought that the only way you could get the NMC to take action was by reporting nurses that you wanted to be investigated. But there was something in Nursing Times a little while ago. The new Chief Executive had said that they can act on any concerns that are raised from anywhere. And that was around the time of the Basildon issue. And apparently this was something that was in their sort of articles or whatever, but had never been used. So they're now actually starting to sort of say they can act on any concerns. So for example, the other week there was an article in the Daily Mail that somebody in the audience here raised my attention to, which was a 22-year-old who died in hospital, and he'd had to ring the police to try and get a glass of water because he couldn't get any attention on the ward. I emailed the Nursing and Midwifery Council and said, could you please tell me whether you are investigating this? And I gave him the link to the Daily Mail article and what have you. And it actually said in the article that the case had been referred to the coroner, it was a coroner's report, it had been referred to the police. So the response I got from the Chief Executive's office was that no, they weren't investigating it because no member of the family had been in touch with them. So I emailed back and said, under article whatever, you can act on anything. So I'm asking you to act in this case. And not only that, you've got a memorandum of understanding with the police. And if the police are investigating, why aren't you in with it as well? At which point then I got a very rapid email back saying we've opened the case and we've got an investigator onto it. And I'm waiting to hear sort of what's happening from there. So, you know, I think we all need to be a bit more aware and a bit more on the back of these organisations, because if they can get away with it, they will do. So I think there's a lot that the Nursing and Midwifery Council can do. And I think they're certainly not investigating when they should do. We know about a lot of cases where really, one appalling case in particular in Wales, that a nurse who was advocating on behalf of a patient actually reported 6 nurses and it never got investigated. It got thrown into that there wasn't a case before any investigation took place. And we're trying to challenge that at the moment. So that's just a few ideas about nursing and nurses. And I think really, unless nurses get their finger out and realise that their profession might go down the pan fairly soon, unless they do something about it, They're going to be not around very long, I don't think. Anyway, I think it'd be really good now just to reflect. Just as a little bit of reflection, we use this motto of the Bombay Hospital quite a lot, and we know that it's been put on hospital walls around Wales as well. And I feel quite concerned that the patient, their relatives and carers seem to have slipped out of the spotlight in recent years in favour of other people's priorities. It's time for professionals to reflect on the privileged position that they hold, and what better way to do with this motto. The patient's the most important person in our hospital. He's not an interruption to our work. He's the purpose of it. He's not an outsider in our hospital. He's a part of it. We're not doing a favour by serving him. He's doing us a favour by giving us an opportunity to do so. And I think that just really makes the point that while everybody's